Okay.
So I heard that you found a weird bug.
Yeah, I was going to tell the story.
Oh,
so I'm out there on Tuesday, burning the burn pile. So I'm just burning the burn pile, enjoying watching the guys across the way do their construction-y stuff. And all of a sudden, this thing falls out of the tree and hits me in the leg. And I'm like, I look at it, and what it looks like is it looks like a lichen that just fell out of the tree.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And I'm like, no big deal. So I look at it, and it's kind of it's weird looking, and it's sitting there, and I turn away, and I'm just enjoying the day. It's a beautiful day. I turn back, and it's moved.
Oh.
Then I pick it up, and I start giving it a little once-over because my eyes aren't that good anymore.
Yeah.
And so the weird thing about it is it's this little creature.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen one of these before. First off, it's about 3/4 of an inch long. It's about 3/8 of an inch wide.
I'll put a picture up of
about
it
3/8 tall.
after we figure out what it is.
It's gray. Looks like it's got snake scales on the back.
Okay.
Okay, and it's kind of roundish, but it looks more like a Jawa transporter. It's kind of weird looking because it's got that little angular, like real angular sides. Then I turn it over, and it's orange on the bottom, and it looks like kind of like orange Jello with a mouth. You can see sort of through it. It's like translucent. It's weird looking. And it's got these little feet that were coming out, and I was like, "This is an alien." I think we're getting invaded by aliens here, and I was like, "Man, have I made first contact, or what's going on here?" And so I set it on a tree nearby,
Okay.
thinking that I could come back to it. Evidently, I got like the Speedy Gonzalez version of this thing because it was gone in like 20 minutes. It's gone. I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where it went. And then I didn't take. Well, no, I took some pictures of it. I take that back. I did take pictures of it to show your mother. I was like, have you seen anything like this? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, you're a liar. I've never seen one of these. I've been on this earth 49 years. I've never seen one of these. And so she goes, yeah, I'll show you what it is. She pulls it up on the Wikipedia.
On the Joogle.
And on the enter screen, and she pulls it up, and it's this thing called a skiff slug caterpillar, or a skiff caterpillar slug, or something like that. But it's got the word skiff, SCHIFF, or SC. Is it SCHIFF?
Let me look it up.
Look it up. Why don't you look it up? Get the old pedia out there.
Oh, forgot again. Welcome to the Roost. This is still the podcast where we talk about stuff. What'd you call it? Skiff?
Is this episode 0?
This is 2.
Well, that was episode -1 we shot.
Oh,
right?
that was the pilot. Yeah, so this is the actual
episode 0. Okay.
Skiff, what was it?
It's called a skiff moth caterpillar.
Moth?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep, that's him right there. Evidently, they can take on all kinds of colors. Like there's some green ones. Of course, the one I found was or I didn't find it. It fell on me. The alien that hit me was this little gray looking thing, and I'll swear it had like the scales on the back looked like snake scales.
Oh, that's weird looking.
Dude, it is the weirdest looking thing. So you've got them pulled up here, and
I'll put a photo of it up or whatever.
I mean, like super stinky
That's
weird.
so weird. It does look like Jello.
We'll leave a link in the comment section. Do we have a comment section? Put it somewhere.
It's in the box.
Could be in the title.
It's in the box with the words. Okay. Go find it.
But it was the weirdest thing. It was really, I mean, so and again, I've been on this planet for a long time. I had never seen one of these, and I've seen a bunch of weird looking stuff.
It's really weird looking.
So that's my story on the skiff moth caterpillar. Finished burning the burn pile. So Tuesday was your mother and my 25th wedding anniversary. She had ordered me to.
Good job.
Yeah, she's put up with me for 25 years, and so she ordered me to burn the burn pile and to trim all the shrubs. So I did that, and it was a good day. And then we went to our favorite restaurant and ate a burger. Okay, so we've covered the weird bug, but now that you're on Wikipedia, son, why don't we just grab a random Wikipedia page, and we could do fun facts?
That's an inside joke. I didn't edit for a guy named Marling Bates. Really cool. He's really funny.
It's Marling. So just for those of you.
That link is also in the box with the words.
We're going to put that in the comments.
All right.
Wiki Roulette. So we're gonna grab a random Wikipedia page here, and we have found one. What is it, son?
It's called the Tsou language.
The TSOU language.
And I think it's pronounced Ku.
Ku.
The Ku language.
Tell us about the Ku language, son. Where is this spoken at?
Spoken by the Ku people of Taiwan.
Taiwan. Huh.
It's a threatened language.
I wonder what that means. Does that mean like people threaten you if you speak it? It's a threatening language. Maybe it's sort of like like German. When they speak it, it sounds like they're angry. Jawohl. The commandant. So we
Cannot
okay.
think.
So it reminds me, we love to watch Hogan's Heroes.
Oh my, Hogan's Heroes is awesome.
And
so funny.
I never watched it growing up. I always thought it was like some goofy show, but never watched it. And I really enjoy it now because they are all the time taking advantage of poor old Clink. But either way, Hogan's Heroes, good show.
Nothing bad.
Okay, so Tsao language. Coup? Is it coup? It's threatening or threatened.
It's threatened.
Evidently, there's not. How many people speak it currently? Does it say?
No. Wait.
Like current active speakers.
Vowels. Oh, we could learn to say it.
Can we learn?
Nasal.
Well,
the coup consonants.
Huh.
Labial. Alveolar.
Alveolar. Yeah, alveolar.
The velar.
Yeah.
And the glottal.
Does it have a fricative too?
That just kind of looks like a question mark.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all this is.
They're confused about their own language.
Okay, but this fun facts is not going really very
No,
good. Let's kick another one. Here, go over here. Grab randomly. The Agapur. Hold on. Loading.
Because our internet is not.
Okay. What is that?
2747 Sesky Krumlov.
Who is
It's
that?
Czech.
Is it a person?
Oh no, it's like an orbit thing.
Oh,
Look at that orbital diagram of the Chesky
Well,
Krumlov.
give us a little orbit and classification. Give us a little.
It's a provisional design of 1980 DW. It's a carbonaceous asteroid. Oh, it's an asteroid.
Oh, it's an asteroid.
Oh. I like this already. Provisional.
When was it discovered? 1980.
19th of February 1980, and named for the Czech town of Kresky Krumlov. Orbit and classification.
Huh.
It orbits the sun in an outer main belt at a distance of astronomical unit 2.7 to 3.5 once every 5 years and 5 months.
Oh wow! So
wow.
its year is 5 Earth years and 5 months.
5 Earth years. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Wouldn't want to be there.
First identified as 1953 FO1 at the Almaty Observatory in 1953.
He's a slow rotator, so it only rotates. So it's day. What is its day?
No, it has a brightness variation.
Diameter, albedo.
Makes it a very slow rotator.
Naming. Okay. Is it dangerous? Scroll on down. Is it threatened? maybe
like
it's
the
wrong.
Cool language. It's
the
just
cool
threatened.
language is it's threatened. Okay, so that's kind of cool.
That's neat.
But that leads us into the movie we watched the other night, son.
Ah, yes. We watched a movie. We were talking about this on the way home from a trip somewhere.
Yeah, to see someone who's related
to us at a college somewhere.
We can't really say.
Can't really say. It's my sister. So we went to go see her, and on the way back, we were talking about visual effects. Or something.
I think we were talking about. Yeah, we were talking about.
We're talking about visual effects, and you brought up the movie Interstellar and the black hole scene from that, and we were talking about the black hole scene from that, and it was. I had seen it before. I watch a channel called Corridor and Corridor Crew, and they break down visual effects in one of their little segments they do weekly, and. They did one on Interstellar one day, and I saw it. I was like, that looks incredible. I'd like to see that movie one day.
See, and the interesting thing, too, pause you there for a second. See, I saw on a channel I watched called Numberphile. So Numberphile was talking about gravity and space-time, special relativity, and general relativity. And he started talking about Interstellar. And he is friends with or knows the lady who did the visual effects for it. So she had to program the ray tracing and all that. So
right, I'd seen it, and I'd seen that clip, and I was like, oh, I really want to watch that one day. And then I proceeded to forget about it until this moment. And when we were talking about it, I was like, hey, can we watch that one day? My mom checks to see how much it is on like Amazon Prime or something. It was like $4.
We'll check the rating too. We don't want like a bunch of mess in the house.
I mean, there was a little bit of language in it, but most of it was. If you were in that situation, what would you say?
Probably something you might utter, or at least you'd think about it, because that was a bad situation he found himself in.
We watched it, and that is a ride of a movie. That is a great movie.
Well, the story was good.
It was a really interesting
once
story.
It was revealed
what was actually happening.
When they started seeing,
hello, it's me, the editor. I would like to say that there are big spoilers up ahead, so if you haven't seen Interstellar yet, please go do that and then come back and finish listening to this. Thank you, editor out.
Like the poltergeisty stuff.
Yeah.
That
the
was
gravity.
kind of weird. Yeah, the gravity anomalies.
And that was at the beginning of the movie. It took him 45 minutes to get into space or see anything about space. But the first...
It was okay. First off, it's a long movie.
It's 3 hours long. It's a long movie.
Be clear. At about 2.5 hours in, you feel it a little bit. You're kind of like, okay, I'd kind of like this to be done, but it's still a good movie. Don't get me wrong.
I didn't want to get up at all and go do anything.
I didn't either, but I'm old and have a small bladder, so I had to get up and do something. Yeah. So the gravitational anomaly, I would have never put that together. The when he went into the black hole there at the end, and then he went into the Tesseract where time was now a spatial dimension.
Yeah,
that was an interesting idea. I mean, I think they explored the idea well. I think it's, in my mind, I don't think he would have survived going into the black hole because of tidal forces. But
you would have been noodle-fied.
Let's suspend that for a second. Let that go. It is an interesting thing, when you cross that horizon, the event horizon. It's interesting. It's just very interesting. And then how he was able to get information back out to his daughter.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea of time dilation in the movie is really interesting.
It is very scientifically accurate, and I love that. I love space, so I watch a lot of space related stuff on YouTube, and knowing all that I did and going in to watch that movie, it was amazing how much I was able to understand and that makes sense.
Yeah. And the fact that time dilation is a constraint on what they had to do,
right,
is interesting because that's a result from general relativity, right?
Uh-huh.
When you're in a gravitational field, time is different. Special relativity, of course, is when you're traveling at a speed relative to an observer. Time is different, and so I think that they did a really good job with that.
They really did. They really did.
It was done well. It was played well. And when they got back to the ship, 23 years had gone by. For that original little just landing and come back.
I will say one thing.
That was kind of cool.
The weirdest part about that was that little, they had to go down to this planet and get some data and come back, and the fact that it took them 3 hours to do that was surprising because I don't know how long it took to go get the stuff and for the big tidal wave to come through and for them to drain all the engines and stuff. I don't know. I didn't see that being 3 hours.
Well, I guess, on the screen, clearly it's not.
Right.
But, they still had to, they had to dump the water out of the engines.
Uh-huh.
You got those huge waves because, of course, you're right next to a black hole, Gargantua. Yeah. And so you're going to have extreme tidal forces. And so that's going to cause a lot of waves. So that was very accurate. I'm like you. It felt more like it should have been like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
When they got back to the ship and the guy had said, it's been 23 years. I just gave up at one point. And I was like, that doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, but we don't know what the transit time is to the planet. The transit time to the planet could have been an hour. And then they've only got a few minutes on the planet to do what they do in an hour back. Mm. That's still 14 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A lot. That's crazy. So.
Okay. So another thing I really like is that the fact that they had to go through a wormhole was
that's neat.
Kind of a little funky in the scientific. Of course, wormholes could technically possible and could exist, but we just haven't been able to see any.
Sure.
But
I've seen them out in the yard.
It makes sense, but I like the idea that they didn't use a warp drive.
I like that they didn't go crazy with it.
Yeah.
Right. So it was
warp drives themselves are kind of cool in their own fashion, but that's way more sci-fi. Yeah. This was more of a less sci-fi than.
Well, and the other interesting thing that was brought up in this movie, son, which is kind of not space related, but is the idea, and it's a subtle idea, but it's the idea that things don't always progress. That technology can go backward.
Yeah.
Right. So you get your technological highs, which we're kind of on one right now. Ever since since the Civil War, since Reconstruction, we've been on this technological just through the roof kind of thing.
Just look at what SpaceX is doing right now.
It's crazy. But you don't ever think that something like a blight that comes through and wipes out all crops can really knock you back technologically, like the drone that had been in the air for 10 years. Okay, what that tells me is that really things aren't moving forward much for 10 years. Right? Remember what they said? They said we don't need engineers anymore. We need farmers.
They had to go back to their the period before the industrial age.
Essentially,
The
they're going
agrarian.
back to they're going back to what I would call a subsistence kind of
Right.
of and it's one of those things that you know, like your generation, even my generation, we don't think like that. We think that technology is always going to move forward. The speed of a computer is always going to double every year, you know, and this sort of thing, because it has since the 40s.
Yeah.
And so, but they're, you know, we're still subject to forces in the world that we don't control. Like, you know, COVID's a good reminder of that.
Yeah.
Right. So, I don't
COVID's
know.
a big part of that.
It's a big reminder that, hey, you know, life can get disrupted.
And, you know, the whole chip shortage thing is a big thing right now.
Like today, when we went by the little tractor place.
They had no tractors.
There was like 2 tractors on the lot. Normally they have like maybe a couple hundred tractors out there. It's a big tractor place. There were 2. And like I was telling you and Mama, you know, the guy I watch, Tractor Mike, another great channel on YouTube, Ask Tractor Mike. He was saying that, you know, there are some tractor places that have a 2-year waiting list.
Yeah.
Imagine that, putting money down now
for 2
and you won't
years.
get something till 2023.
I mean, at least inflation's not going to get you.
Well, true. I mean, you know, no guarantee.
No guarantee.
No guarantee. So I don't know. It's a very strange time when you get knocked back a notch. You don't expect it.
There's also another part. I'm going to go ahead and reshift this back to Interstellar. There was another part in Interstellar where after they got back from the wave planet 23 years later, the guy has 2 kids and the granddad that lives with him. And he had to sort of, I guess, watch through a screen where he can't say anything. His kids grow up and just slowly start to think.
Well, they could send messages, right?
They could send messages, but no, actually, their communications got wiped. Like, they could receive stuff, but they couldn't send stuff out.
No, yeah. I mean, the people on Earth could send messages. And remember, 23 years went by.
23 whole years. And the daughter didn't talk to him until he got back.
Yeah, until he got back.
And I've heard a lot of people will make fun of the crying of him, like, being really emotional in that scene.
Dude.
But when you think about it, if you were to be gone for 23 years and in your head an hour had just gone by and you have to watch your kids through basically a Zoom call where you can't say anything back and they sort of start to just slowly not believe in you anymore and just think that you're never coming back.
Yeah.
Just imagine that.
It's tough.
It's really tough to have to deal with something like that, I guess.
Well, and you know what? I appreciated the fact that they portrayed it very accurately.
Yeah.
Those are the emotions you would go through on both sides. On both sides, you know?
Yeah.
You know, because imagine if I went into space, which I wouldn't. But
I would go with you.
Imagine you went into space. And then you're like, I'll be back in a couple weeks. Well,
A couple of years go by.
And then 2 decades go by. You know, and I'm still sitting going, hey, hope you're up there, son, you know.
When you gonna be back?
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's the whole black hole part where he came back like another 50 years later. So his daughter was like almost 100.
Well, didn't they say she was she was over 100?
She was over 100. Mm-hmm. He was like 128.
120, yeah.
No,
that's
so
right.
she would have been 90. Because you remember,
that's right.
She was like 30.
He was 128. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know. They just did everything in that movie really well.
Did it well.
And if you're just sort of watching it and you're like, that's cool, space, you know. But if you're watching it from like a technical and more scientific standpoint, it's just like, that's really cool.
Okay, son, question for you.
Well, yeah.
If you could go into space, all right, and you could go and do something similar to what he did. I mean, you know, be near a black hole and go through a wormhole and all that. And it would only be a couple hours, but you knew it would be 2 decades here on Earth. Would you still do it? That's a good question.
That's
right?
a really good. I don't know. If I were your age, I would do it.
Yeah. Would you? See,
if I wasn't married, yeah. But if I was, then probably not.
See, at my age, okay, here's the thing. At my age, no way. Because I know that in a couple of years, if you had a sister, your sister would get married if she's off at college, which she might be.
She might be.
And so, you know, you guys are going to get married. You're going to have bunches of youngins. especially you're gonna have boys, and which we won't go into that. But
Please
then I'd miss all that. But now at your age, a young man, not married, I don't know.
I mean, I'd come back being 36 if
You'd
I was
be
gone for
36.
2 decades.
I'd be 70.
If I was only gone for 5 years, I would go. Like if they had,
No, I'm talking 2 decades.
Oh, 2 decades.
I mean, it's a solid 2 decades here.
yeah, probably not.
But you wouldn't age, though. See,
I wouldn't age, but I would age. Like
But
I
we
would still
would.
have the, I would still have the, like, I would still be 36, but I wouldn't be 36 physically.
physically, you would not. That's right. Time has traveled differently for you. So,
But you know, I guess it would be like people from the 40s waking up in 2019 and looking around and being like, "What's going on?" I wouldn't want to have an image of in my mind of what's going on, and then just coming back 20 years later, and maybe the world has exploded. I don't know.
well, maybe things went south. Maybe they got better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things where that's a tough question. You know, because there may come a day when we ask people to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so
I mean, we're kind of already setting people up to be gone for a few years by going to the moon and setting up base there, and then going to Mars.
But we're talking like they might lose minutes in terms of if they started their clock now. You know, our clock would be minutes ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but I mean, if we're talking like you're going to lose
Years, like decades.
20 years,
I wouldn't do it.
that's a tough one.
If I were to be sent, I'm kind of changing the
Sure.
prompt here, but if I were to be sent to the moon
Uh-huh.
to help set up camp and have a little system going where you make fuel, you make water,
Yeah,
and you have a little living space,
Yeah.
I would do that.
that's not a big deal.
I would love to do that.
Sure,
I'd love to
go to
the moon.
Mars. You know,
Mars is a little bit. I'd have to think on that one a little bit more.
that's an
before
18-month journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough, dude.
I mean, what they're doing right now is they're basically going to send a 3D printer there, and they're going to build a bigger 3D printer with that 3D printer, and then they're going to have a bunch of little spots where you can set up base. And they're going to send and they're like 2026. They're going to send actual people there, and have them cover all the 3D printed stuff, and then you will have little habitats that they can live in. And if I knew it would be reliable, I would go.
Yeah.
But if I was going there and I probably would die, I may not.
Well, I
because
mean, it's risky.
that might not be worth it.
That's a risky deal. I you know, as a young man, I would have to think about it, especially if I was really ambitious.
Yeah.
But you gotta. I mean, it's one of those things where you would almost have to understand that when you go, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a bus you
can just
catch.
drive back.
Yeah, you
You
can't
can't do
just
that.
drive back, and it's not going to happen. But you know, eventually, I guess as a species, we'll probably do something like that.
You know, another
Give it a
big
shot.
problem was, can you live with the people for 3 years or more? Can you like stand just being around only those people?
Yeah, like imagine
And
getting
then
like Randy from
Red
Survivor
Dirt.
on there.
Oh my goodness. Hello, it's me, the editor, again. What we're referring to here is from Survivor Season 17, Gabon. There are two people, Randy and Corinne, that were really just not nice people that neither me or my dad liked when we watched it, and that's just what we're referring to here. Thank you again, editor. Bye-bye. He's
Or-
just, I don't like the way you're doing
Or
that.
Corinne, you know.
Oh.
Oh man, not
Oh, that would be
happening.
terrible.
Not happening. But you know,
Eventually, we just vote her out.
oh, listen, you put her in the airlock and out she goes. Yeah, be like, well, what happened to Corinne?
I think she got
She
stuck somewhere.
got stuck somewhere, you know. But I mean, that's a real deal.
It's
I
a
mean,
real
'cause
deal.
It's 3-year commitment. I mean, it's 3 years you're
And
living
then
with
there's
these
the
people.
journey back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you're just spending 3 years on the planet.
Yeah.
Then you got to come back.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big deal.
It's weird to think about stuff like that.
Well, it is, but you know, I mean, you know, when Columbus set out,
Oh yeah, that's
know,
true.
I mean, he didn't expect. I don't know what he expected, but you know, that was a couple months journey.
Not
2
where he
months journey.
not where he wound up. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
and it's like
he didn't
you know,
even expect to come to America.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing is those boats are tiny, and they had like 80 people on them, 100 people.
Like, when you see pictures of them, they seem
tiny.
huge.
Yeah.
But we went to go see like replicas made of the Nina and the Pinta and the Pint and the Liter or whatever.
Yeah, and the Santa Marina
Santa
or
Marina.
whatever it is.
And they had actual replicas. And when you got on those boats,
Dude,
like
there ain't no privacy.
The crew must have slept on the deck. Like I think the captains had their own little stations.
Captain's headquarters.
They had their own little quarters, but the rest you slept under the deck.
You know, and there's probably only like one tick puller from the whole bunch. I mean, it's a bad deal.
And I bet the ticks were huge.
Well, you got that 1-inch measurement there. So, okay, now that we're on to tick pullers, so I think we probably need to go ahead and close this one out.
I think this is
a good
episode.
Good episode. So,
I enjoyed this one.
So we'll say goodbye from the Roost, where the shavings are clean and the ticks are small.